Welcome to the November 17th edition of the PFF Forecast. We are into week 11. What a wonderful week it is because we've got Cowboys, Chiefs. We're going to talk about our favorite bets of the week. At this point, pick a lock of the week, have a little Dak, Pat Mahomes conversation, and talk about Eric's newfound passion for fashion. Let's rock. Alrighty. I have to lead with this. You've got a pink sweater on. You've got what appears to be, what would you call the color of your shirt? Is that melon?
Salmon? I don't know.
I didn't know about this. This is undercover. Do you have a burner account that talks about
I don't know.
fashion?
Did you see my Instagram last night? I was also eating a swanky dinner. I've been living
I couldn't
large.
actually see your Instagram last night because it was so dark in the picture.
Oh.
I don't know what that was. What was it? Describe it to me.
What was my good friend Sean Zerbinski, who listens to the show, best
guy.
man at my wedding. He installs solar panels, and he comes here every month or two. So every time we go to Jeff Ruby's, to continue our tradition. I like to think of it as paying forward because I owe you so many steak dinners.
So
I pay.
We have to make that. We got to get one steak dinner.
I know, that's the thing. So we went there. I had the steak. I had the Collinsworth style steak, of course.
Which I got to be honest with you, the Collinsworth is good.
Is the burro better?
No, the burro is not very good.
Sean likes the burro.
The best order at Jeff Ruby's, bar none, is the chili rub.
Chili rub is solid. Yep.
It's not particularly close in my opinion, but look, to each their own. I was jealous of you, a little jealous of you. Okay, my fashion statement is not very impressive because I wore a jacket, and on my bike ride over here, it was a little warmer than I anticipated outside, so I had to take it off. Anyways, that is enough fashion talk for us. Before we get started, remember, Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. And if you want to give someone a great gift, use promo code FORECAST, FORECAST, gets you 25% off any PFF subscription. That includes PFF Elite, which not only gives you all the great content, premium content, all the great fantasy tools, but also the betting dashboards for player props, our best bets tool, which just immediately tells you what we think has the biggest edge, and our spread money line and totals dashboard, plus the DFS optimizer. So if you're looking to get some DFS wins in late, go get it. Forecast is the promo code, 25% off. You can get best of PFF's content in our power rankings tool, which is really useful right now. It shows you all the playoff probabilities, strength of schedule, all that stuff for as low as $9.99 per month. Okay. I want to start with Chiefs Cowboys, because I want to have a kind of a deeper conversation about this. I was watching television this morning, and I saw what at first I did not think was real. Now, and ESPN does this sometimes. Look, you got to get people to watch Get Up somehow. And it was, would you rather have Dak or Patrick Mahomes?
It's bound to happen.
Last year, if you had asked this question, you would have been put out to pasture. What do you say now? Because it's still crazy to ask that question.
I described this the other day when I was on Soren Petro's show, friend of the show, and I said the Dallas Cowboys are what the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys are what the 2018 Chiefs are, except for Dak's slightly worse than Mahomes. So
when you say slightly worse than Mahomes, describe, what do you mean by that?
So Dak is everything you want in a quarterback. He is athletic. He's a great leader. He moves well in the pocket. He, from what I can tell, and I've never played the position, makes all the right reads. He isn't as physically gifted arm talent-wise as Mahomes. Mahomes is everything you want in a quarterback, but also has the absolute cannon. And the other thing that I think is clouding this, and this is where you make money in betting, is Dak is playing better than Patrick is right now. So that's what muddies the water, right? Like, I think Dak is not quite as good as Patrick, but he's playing better than him right now. And so, like, when I look at Dallas, I think this is a team that gives up a lot of yards. They are opportunistic with turnovers. They have a decent pass rush when everybody's healthy. They have great weapons on the outside and a decent offensive line. So, like, they're what the Chiefs were prior to losing Sammy Watkins and prior to losing, prior to, the NFL finding out about their offense and all this stuff. And Dak is just, in my opinion, just a minuscule amount below what Patrick was. So that's why, of all the bets I've made this week, I have not bet on Kansas City or Dallas because I think that this number is right. I think this is going to be a fantastic game.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really fascinating. So this year, Dak Prescott has an 85.2 PFF grade. Patrick Mahomes just under 74. That said, we still have Patrick Mahomes, and you can get this on our Power Rankings tool with PFF Edge subscription. We have Patrick Mahomes power ranked. In other words, what is he worth to the spread? Just ever so slightly better than Dak Prescott. Which I think the market would agree with. I agree. And I think that's something that people, it's really hard to take yourself off of recency. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because this past week, Mahomes put on an absolute show. But when I watched that game, we talked about this on Sunday, I'm like, I need to see more than destroying a Raiders defense that clearly didn't watch any Kansas City tape. They didn't play. All they did was stay in cover 3 all game and got filleted. But I look at Dallas and I'm not sure, I'm not sure they're that much different. Their defense has been all about turnovers and not so much about yards allowed. And what's interesting is the Chiefs have faced a top 5 schedule thus far. Also something you can get on our Power Rankings tool with an Edge subscription. And the Dallas Cowboys have faced the 22nd toughest schedule so far. And so I think that helps color some things. Also with Mahomes, what I think has been so interesting is his big-time throw rate is below 3%. In the years where
it's less than his big-time throw rate. Or sorry, it's less than his turnover-worthy play rate, for sure.
And what we've seen from Mahomes, and you talk about that 2018 season, was he was in the 8 range. Mm-hmm. That's where he, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray this year, those guys that are in the MVP conversation. Prescott's at 5. And I think that is where I would, why I think it's still a clear-cut difference between Prescott and Mahomes, why I would take Mahomes right now in this game and for this year and for the rest of their careers. And I don't think you should be asking that question because Prescott's having probably his best year, and it's not at the same level that Mahomes' best year would be.
Yeah, so yeah, Dak's firmly in that class, and I know Lamar had a bad game against Miami and a bad half against Minnesota, and I know, and Dak had a bad game against Denver and all this stuff. Dak is firmly in that category of players I would not trade my starting quarterback for anything. Okay. If a team offered Dallas 3 first-round picks for Dak, they should say no. But
okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's least tradable. Mm-hmm. Is that the way we want to define this?
Yeah, like the most I would call them untouchable quarterbacks.
Okay, maybe we don't call them the untouchables, but hey, the highest trade value for quarterbacks. Number 1, you're going Mahomes.
Yeah, adjusting for age. Yeah,
I would go Mahomes too. I think. Number 1. I think number 2 is the question. I know who I would put number 2. Who would you put number 2?
Number 2 right now is Lamar.
Damn it, we're gonna agree.
I know. The thing about Lamar is, obviously, like this year, I think he's proven in the natural experiments, sort of what that he's able to work with a less than stellar roster, but. They do have the 3rd hardest schedule moving forward, so he still has a decent amount to prove. Right?
Yeah, and they've played the 5th easiest, I believe. Yeah. What was interesting is I think at the beginning of this year, even 2 years ago, you could have had the Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson debate, and I would have laughed at you if you would have taken Kyler over Lamar. I don't think that is the case anymore. And at number 3, this is, again, really tricky for me. I look at Dak and I look at Kyler. I am going to take Kyler Murray ever so slightly ahead of Dak Prescott, and I'll tell you why. Kyler Murray has A.J. Green running routes for him, has Cliff Kingsbury's offense versus Kellen Moore's offense, is younger, and has an X factor as an athlete that Dak does not have. What does Dak have over him? He's a much more mature thrower over the football. He reads defenses better. Also, I think Kyler has a better arm. So I would take Kyler and put him at number 3 over Prescott. What about you?
The career arc on Dak is such that I'm more certain that I'm more certain that he's good than Kyler. I think Kyler's ceiling's maybe a little higher, but given how good like Prescott's career arc has been and how he's gone through the ups, he's gone through the downs, very similar to Lamar. Like last season was actually instructive for Lamar because it was not as good as 2019, and then this year has been up and down. But I think mostly, I think we'd all look at him and say he's worth it. Whereas Murray's ascension has been mostly linear if you factor in injuries. And I think like the leak there, and this is the same thing with Patrick. The leak there is what happens when you do get, like with Mahomes, it was always like he never had a bad game. And so you bake that into all the Chiefs discussions. And then when he does have bad games, you're like, oh my God, this team can't win. With Murray, it's similar. Like Murray hasn't had the ebbs and flows if you adjust for injuries, right? And then so the question becomes like, what happens if the league like focuses on him? I think Prescott's the kind of quarterback where like his style of play is so traditional that like the league is never going to be like, okay, we need to stop Dak Prescott, and therefore like I think like his production is going to be more stable.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think actually a different argument than that, which is I look at Dak's ecosystem, their offensive line, top 5 offensive line.
Mike McCarthy, our friend Mike, ecosystem builder.
Hold on. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
monkey butt. Did you hear about that? He brought monkey butt. I'm not going to get into that. Okay, top 5 offensive line. You could argue top 2 and not 2. I would say, given injuries this year, the best wide receiver group in the NFL. I mean, he has 2 number 1 guys, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb is amazing. I'll just say this about CeeDee Lamb. Like, I know he's got Amari Cooper on the other side, but CeeDee Lamb is making a lot of teams really regret, including me, as someone who watches Deebo Samuel just torch people every week and think about, man, imagine if we had CeeDee and Deebo instead of CeeDee and Brandon Ayuk's corpse on the field. That would be amazing. CeeDee Lamb he's a top 7 receiver right now in the NFL, maybe even higher than that. He's amazing. So you top 5 offensive line, maybe top 2, maybe the best. Maybe the best, I would say the best wide receiving group in the NFL. And then an offensive coordinator who, if I'm hiring a coach next year, is top 3 on my list. I look at Kyler and I say, he's having a really, really good season despite some things. Banged up DeAndre Hopkins. A.J. Green is playing a good offensive line, but by no means a great offensive line. And Cliff Kingsbury, who we have been making fun of for 2 straight seasons. So I actually think Kyler has maybe the more stable ability to produce because he's overcoming some of those things. And I think when healthy, his rushing provides a floor that Dak doesn't have.
Yeah, and I guess this is silly because Dak literally got hurt last year, but like I just think maybe
difference between catastrophic and like nicked up. Yeah,
but like Murray's consistently nicked up. Like that's a significant deal,
and appears to perform way worse.
Well, and he just does not fight through it, right? Like that. Like, well, I'm
not tough enough for you.
I'm not
big guy.
What's that?
I need someone to clip you and your pink melon get up saying that Kyler isn't.
He does not. Well, so I take it back. So he fights through it. But like does not perform well when he's hurt.
I just think his game doesn't lend itself well to like being.
And this year, to their credit, they've sat him, and Colt McCoy, as bad as he looked the other day, has won 50% of his starts as a backup, which is all you can really ask for.
Okay, to recap, least tradable assets in the NFL. We've gone Mahomes and Jackson 1-2. I went Kyler Murray 3. You went Dak Prescott at 3. I'm going to go with. I'm going to let you go number 4 first.
So we have Prescott,
You have Murray left on your board. I have Prescott left on my board, plus everyone else.
I will take Murray. Well, no, I'll take Josh Allen ahead of Murray.
Okay.
No.
Why?
I mean, I think Josh Allen, the career arc thing is also a thing, right? Like, Allen has been like really up and down, but like there's like this sounds really bad, but like there's a leveling off of his game that's happening right now that I find endearing, which is that like he does have still some bad games, but he's not catastrophic, and his ceiling is pretty freaking high. And you add the rushing to it, you add the fact that like their offense is very like optimized for the current NFL as far as like throwing the football. I like him. So for me it goes Mahomes, Jackson, Prescott, Allen, and then
you'll go Murray.
Murray, yeah.
This is equally as hard to debate for me, Allen versus Prescott, and I'm going to take Josh Allen here. And the reason I'm going to take Josh Allen over Dak Prescott, and this is not a ding on Dak Prescott. It's more about Josh Allen's ceiling. What I do think is interesting is how the rest of this year goes. I think both of them have a great supporting cast and a great offensive system. And I would expect Josh Allen to continue his ascension. But there's a very good chance that this is Dak Prescott over Josh Allen going forward. But I'd take Josh because of the better physical talent, the career arc, obviously, and the ability to run the ball in today's NFL, which is so valuable. Okay, what I want to do now is we've gone our top 5. Where would you cut it off in terms of because all those 5 we're not trading, right? There's no package that we're trading for those guys. Are there any other quarterbacks who you would not trade right now?
I would find a way to keep Russell Wilson at almost any. I wouldn't trade Russell for a cost.
Really?
I mean, he looked horrible the other day, but I think it was obviously injury related. Everybody else to me is negotiable. Here's the honorable mention though. Here's the one person I wanted to bring up because I was busy doing a little bit of a video on him yesterday. The Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. Okay. This is one of the most interesting cases in we just need more time, right? So everybody after week 5 is like, oh, look at you freaking idiots for having him X and Y and Z. And like, look at, oh, you regression slaves and all this stuff. Like, Justin Herbert has regressed in literally every statistical category this year.
We're literally all regression slaves.
Yeah, I mean, whether we want to be or not.
I don't know what.
I think that's called somebody a gravity slave. Like you're a slave to gravity. I'm more of a gravity slave than you are.
This is true.
But
I don't know though. The pink melon combo is pretty lightning.
So anyway, get a whiff of this. Okay, so last season, Justin Herbert, his PFF grade when clean was 78.5. That's 22nd in the NFL. Mm-hmm. His passer rate or his PFF grade when clean this year is 89.1, which is 7. That's really good. His passer rating when clean was 97.7. That was 21st. His passer rating, PFF passer rating when clean this year is 102, 14th. Yards per attempt when clean has gone up 0.7 of a yard. So from a fundamental standpoint, Justin Herbert's playing well. He's playing well. We talk about Joe Lombardi. We talk about the second offensive coordinator when your second year and how that leads to regression for a number of reasons, right? One of them being if you are a rookie that got your offensive coordinator a new job, then regression is going to happen because of how regression works. It's a sophomore slump is what they name it colloquially. And that's happened. Joe Lombardi has the least creative scheme in the NFL, and it's hurting him because look, where can I see scheme, right? It's when things break down. Last year, Justin Herbert, passer rating when under pressure, 99.4, first. PFF grade when pressured, 77.1, first. Yards per attempt when pressured, 7.6, third in the NFL. This year, His yards per attempt when under pressure is 5.0. That's 25th in the entire NFL. He's still 8th in PFF grade when under pressure. He's still 10th in pass rating. He hasn't thrown a pick under pressure. He hasn't thrown a turnover-worthy play when under pressure. Or he hasn't had an interception when under pressure. I have to amend that. But like, statistical noise comes for everybody. It comes for everybody. And so the question I have is, because after 4 weeks, you go into Arrowhead and you win, right? You win against Las Vegas on Monday Night Football. Your MVP candidate, Perdarius Butler, on the PFF NFL Live show. Come watch at 11 a.m. every Sunday. What is it? Because to me, I just think this is a great example of how people need to slow down on these young quarterbacks.
Is what you're telling me that there is a trade package out there for which you would trade Justin Herbert?
So I'm leaning no. I think Herbert has the ability. I think Herbert has that, like, for one, he's cost control. So you're going to have to come, because part of the trade thing is I get to get rid of some of these guys' contracts, right? Yep. Like, you have the low cost, you have the physical tools. And I think you can make a case that Herbert's gotten better this year. Yeah. Even though his statistics have gotten worse. And to me that is a classic, like, this is an asset that we are undervaluing. I
agree with you. I would not trade anything outside of obviously those other 5 quarterbacks for Justin Herbert. I would not trade Joe Burrow either. Joe Burrow is dealing with you talk about Joe Lombardi's scheme. Down the street here in Cincinnati, it is not the most creative offensive scheme. I know Joe Burrow doesn't have the flashiness of Justin Herbert. There's not a trade package you're putting together that is making me trade Joe Burrow. And I'll say this. I'm probably not trading Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to work out, but he has dealt with a shitty situation.
Yeah, no one's coming in there and doing well.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are awful. His coach is a laughingstock. He has no good supporting cast, and yet he is fighting through it and playing decently. Has almost 4% of his throws are big-time throws. He doesn't have the ecosystem that Mac Jones does, but I think Trevor Lawrence is getting into that group for me. Justin Fields, I think, has a chance to get into that group throughout this year. He's not in there right now. And I don't want to talk about,
by the way,
Trey Lance.
There is speaking of first top 2 picks, let's say, there is a report today that the Jets are going to start Joe Flacco.
And with that, we are going to get into Week 11.
What the hell is going on? Zach Wilson's not 100%. Mike White clearly is like.
You know what I would say to that? You know what I'd say about Joe Flacco? If you're preparing for a big start in prime time, well, not prime time, but like in front of a lot of people, you want to make sure that you look your best and you feel your best. And you know how you can do that? With the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. Oh. And the performance package that they're offering.
The weed whacker.
Exactly. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code PFF, and get 20% off plus free shipping. They have a new thing that I have not tried yet. I'm excited to try it. It's Ultra Premium Body Wash, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. What is nice about that is that you don't have to shampoo and condition separately. I don't know if you caught that. I am a loyal user of the Lawnmower 4.0. I'm traveling today. I will be taking my Lawnmower 4.0 with me. Haven't charged it in like a month. Still works perfectly fine. Does not cut. Really easy to use. You can use it in the water as well. Make sure that you feel your best, look your best, and you will perform your best. The performance package, which includes not just the Lawnmower 4.0, but also a lot of other great stuff that helps you feel better and look better as well. So go to manscaped.com, use promo code PFF. That's 20% off plus free shipping on manscaped.com, and go perform like Joe Flacco. Also, if you are going to be betting on games this week, I suggest that you go to DraftKings Sportsbook. Download that app. It's the official sports betting partner of the NFL. If you use promo code PFF and you are a new customer, you can bet just $1 on either team to score in any game and win $100 in free bets. And then you can go place them on prop bets. That would be my recommendation. That's where the biggest edges are. Of course, PFF has you hooked up and ready to go for all of those. Plus a ton of great odds boosts at DraftKings and the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And all new customers get a free shot at $1 million in total prizes with their first deposit. So promo code PFF, we love you for using it at DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet $1, get $100 in free bets if any team that you choose scores with promo code PFF on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania. Only new customers, the ones that are eligible. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, week 11. Where would you like to start?
Okay, I'm going to tell you the one that I think is the best bet on the board, but probably won't be the lock of the week.
Uh-oh.
And it's already moved. All right. But I've already bet it. I already bet it at 49.5. But I still think 50 has value. The Cincinnati Bengals go to Las Vegas indoors off of a bye over 50. I think these two defenses are horrendous.
Yep.
And there's one leak in this, and it's the pass rush of the Raiders against the offensive line of the Cincinnati Bengals. Because the Cincinnati Bengals defense, like we already saw it, like if you have if you can exploit their defensive backs, their pass rush is okay but not great. Derek Carr's, I think like every time you count Derek Carr out, he's ready to come back. And I think Burrow, with a week off, I think they'll be fine on offense. Both of these teams average better than 0.05 expected points per pass play. Both teams pass more than 60% of the time. Both quarterbacks have over a 5% big time throw rate and over a 110-ish passer rating when clean. I think that this is going to be a fun game. It's right around a pick 'em. Actually, the Bengals are favored by 1. I think that we liked Raiders Sunday night, so we're not getting closing line value, or at least for now, we're not getting line value here. But I think bet on points in this game. It'll be fun.
I do think that has a chance to be the lock of the week. I really like it. Last week's lock of the week was an under. It cashed by a point or a half point. We're not going to talk about the teaser that we had. We don't want to revisit that.
We'll never talk about it. Luckily, there's not really any teasable lines here unless you're a sicko and want to tease San Francisco down against Jacksonville in a clear letdown spot.
Well, I do have a teasable line.
Okay.
But I don't want to consider it. I would like to offer up the Green Bay Packers Minnesota Vikings game. Now, Minnesota's plus 2.5 at home. So that means you could tease them out to 8.5.
You could. Total 49.
Total 49. I think that that's a decent bet. But I prefer to take the Packers minus 2.5. The reason that I would offer that up is a couple of things. The first is that Aaron Rodgers owns the Minnesota Vikings. And he will own them again in this game in a situation where they're not going to have nearly as fearsome a pass rush as they've had in the past without Danielle Hunter. And their secondary can be had. And of course, with Devontae Adams, that is going to be a huge mismatch. Now, they don't have Aaron Jones in this game. I'm not particularly worried about that. So I wouldn't let that factor into things. Kirk Cousins has played better than Aaron Rodgers so far this season. But I am not betting that he's going to play better than Aaron Rodgers in this game. Interestingly, so I like Green Bay minus 2.5. I could also be intrigued to bet the over in this game. But the Green Bay Packers are a very, very good team. And their offense did not show up against Seattle. It's going to show up against Minnesota. So I like them minus 2.5.
I agree. Here's what I'll say about this. This reminds me very similarly to, and I hate to bring it back to this team, but the Raiders-Chiefs game on Sunday, which everybody's like, oh, the Raiders play the Chiefs tough. The Raiders play the Chiefs tough. Mm-hmm. And you look at the history of it, yes, 2 games in 2020 with no fans in the stands, the Raiders play the Chiefs tough. Every other time, the Chiefs basically bullied the hell out of them for 3 straight years. And so, yes, you got that, right? And a big reason for that was Henry Ruggs, and a big reason for that was the Chiefs playing basically Daniel Sorensen trying to cover Darren Waller, right? Mm-hmm. And that you took those things away. Funny, they did not have a hard time with the Raiders. People are going to point at the game last year at Lambeau with no fans in the stands and the Vikings bullying the Packers in the run game and say, the Vikings give the Packers a hard time. Mm-hmm. and ignore the fact that the Packers kicked the hell out of the Vikings in week 1 at Metrodome, swept them in 2019 despite the Vikings and basically every play-by-play metric being better than the Packers in 19. And what was the reason for the loss last year for the Packers? Well, it was like a 40-mile-per-hour wind. You took Aaron Rodgers, who's the league MVP, and you decreased his yards per attempt in the pass game by like two yards.
Yep.
Right? Like the weather played into the game, and people dispute that, but the betting markets moved 1.5 points towards Minnesota when the weather report came out.
For a good reason. Yeah.
You don't get that this week. You also get, and this I think is an important distinction too. Patrick Peterson is coming back with the Vikings, and I think people are going to overreact to that. Patrick Peterson stinks. He is not a good corner anymore. And he comes back and everybody's like, oh, this defense is back. And I'll give Zimmer all the credit in the world. Their defense has played a lot better than their personnel. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of narratives that are going into the Vikings being competitive in this game that don't make a lot of sense. If you look at the baseline power rankings, we have Green Bay as 5.7 points better than the average team on a neutral. The Vikings are basically an average team on a neutral field. So take a 6-point spread, take home field advantage, and you still can't get to 2.5. And, to me, I think that is a very important thing to consider in this one. I kind of want to look at what our friend Ben has. Ben Baldwin of the Athletic has the Packers in doing his market-derived power rankings 4.5 points better than the average team on neutral, so a little less than us. And the Vikings 1.1 points better. So that's 3.4. With home field advantage, that's how you get to 2.5. Mm-hmm. So it is a distinction that we're making based upon information we have that the market might not be factoring in.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. There are a couple more that I like, though, so I'll let you go next.
All right. I am going to look at Thursday.
Oh, boy.
Atlanta +7 is way too many freaking points. And I get it. I know. But, like, if we're preaching this to people, which is don't buy teams at their highest and don't sell teams at their lowest.
Have I bet it? Yes, I have.
Yeah, exactly. We've all bet this, right? Atlanta and over 47.5 is really good too, because I think New England's defense is a little bit overrated by getting to play some of these teams that are offense snowballs. Now, the Falcons are an offense snowball team. When it goes bad for them on offense, it goes really bad. We saw that on Sunday against Dallas. But New England is literally at the top of the market. We said this on Sunday night. We said 5.5. We'll let it get out to 7. It's gotten out to 7. Atlanta's better than this.
Yeah, I agree. So this is the right side to be on. The New England Patriots have played really, really well recently. They're 6-4. They have played the second easiest schedule in the NFL to this point. Mac Jones with an 87 PFF grade. It's been absolutely fantastic. 101 pass rating from a clean pocket. That said, there's going to be some volatility here. And I think if we can learn anything, it's betting a team at the top of the market or fading a team at the bottom of the market. And this is both of these are coming in at those polar opposite points, where the Patriots are at the top. The Falcons just got absolutely humiliated and embarrassed on Thursday night. Now, I think the worry here would be that, as you said, you've got Arthur Smith versus Bill Belichick.
And a first year head coaches on Thursday Night Football tend to underperform.
But the real coaching matchup is Bill Belichick versus Matt Ryan.
You'd hope.
Okay, so I that's what I'd be banking on. I think +7. Look, 7 is too many points. This is too many points. The Patriots are favored by 7 with a rookie quarterback on the road. I'm sorry. It's too many points. I hate it, but it's too many points.
Yeah, like you spell it all out. Rookie quarterback on the road. Come on. Yeah, so I like
New
that
England
one.
Patriots, by the way, 84% of the cash, 78% of the tickets are on the Patriots. Now, this line has moved, right? So probably a lot of those are at 5.5, 6, 6.5. Probably not as many at 7, but it is now 7. You're getting a full touchdown. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, +7 is -116 on Pinnacle, which is probably closer to -125 on a normal book. Like, if you want the 7, I do think smart bettors are betting Falcons at 7. I don't think it's going to get 7.5. So if you like this, don't wait for it.
Before we get to my next one, whether it's football success or financial savvy, the right question can help you set up yourself with winning strategies. Western and Southern, wonderful sponsor of this podcast, is teaming up with PFF's very own Cris Collinsworth to share insights, help you get ahead of both your fantasy squad and your financial scoreboard. Hear Cris talk about his old playing days. Ask him any question you want, actually. You can ask him about Al on Sunday night. You can ask him about playing for the Bengals. You can ask him about working with us goobers by going to westernsouthern.com/askchris, putting in your question, and then entering for free with that question a chance to get a fully catered party to February's big game. And then you can tune in to Western and Southern's Instagram for answers to the best questions each week. Also tune in to the Cris Collinsworth podcast on this podcast network to hear that. You can submit your questions at westernsouthern.com/askchris, westernsouthern.com/askchris. And remember, ask good questions. Make it happen. Okay. The next game that I would like to talk about are the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to Buffalo. They're playing the Buffalo Bills. They are 7-point underdogs.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, I think
this is another situation. The Bills, again, at the top of the market. The Colts are not a great team, but I think we talked about this on Sunday. My thesis here is just that there aren't any juggernauts out there. So when you have two good teams playing one another, the difference should not be more than 7 points.
No, never be a touchdown. Exactly. That's a great point. And you can scoop a 7.5 depending upon where you look. So this is one where you don't have to settle for 7 if you don't want to. Yeah, man. Like this one is, and it's not a huge edge. Like, I mean,
there's also a narrative in the public right now. Like Josh Allen is
back,
a Super Bowl or not Super Bowl, an MVP frontrunner, and I think he's played well, especially recently. But I'm not sure he's playing that well. 93 passer rating under pressure. That you would figure is due for some regression. Knowing that play under pressure is not stable, not consistent from week to week. So look, I think that's an area you can take some advantage of, where it's not like Carson Wentz has been great, but you might be fading a little bit of the Josh Allen is torching the league every which way. And I'll say this about the Indianapolis Colts defense. I would expect them to do what has plagued Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes a lot, which is playing more man coverage, not blitzing at all, getting some of those 2 high safeties, making them slow the game down and play more of their style. And you look at, what the Colts are going to do, they are going to be consistent, I think, offensively.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, look, this is a place where, as much as we like Buffalo, they're a little overrated. They've played the 32nd most difficult schedule to date. Opposing quarterbacks against them have 6 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. The turnover rate for this defense at 21.8. That's 3 percentage points higher than the next highest team. The Colts are actually second, by the way. They like to run the 2 high stuff. They like to give up some in the run game. We saw that hurt them against Tennessee. They're actually fine. They're only giving up 3.8 yards a carry, but I think a lot of it is because they're playing terrible teams, and terrible teams tend to have terrible offensive lines. And, to me, I think this is a very good situation for Indianapolis to play to their strengths. And they also, in Indianapolis, this is an interesting nugget from the scheme article that I wrote for the website, which defenses make offenses change their scheme the most. Like Indianapolis is a team that I think is doing more with less on defense, and they do that by making the other team basically like cross the street a bunch of times. And we know that Josh Allen is more of a big playmaker. We know that he runs out of patience sometimes, and there are games where he can't buy a bucket because he's just too impatient throwing the football. So, do I think Indy wins this game? I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a meltdown at the end where they lose by 3, but that'll cover the number.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Others that you like?
Okay.
Getting down here. I think I have one more that I'd like to offer up.
Okay. Let me get back to I was looking at the strength of schedule, which you can find at pff.com/power rankings. Here's one I like finally, and I hate that I'm on this team, but I do like this one. I like Carolina getting 3.5. Washington getting 3.5 in Carolina. Is that your pick?
No, it's not. But this is a Cam Newton, Ron Rivera revenge game.
I think everybody's wrong about Cam. I maintain that.
You think he's going to be bad?
I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I'm saying that they're going to grind out a 3-point win is what I'm saying. And so if I get 3 plus a hook, I'm going to take the football team.
Yeah.
So here's a sneaky thing, and I've said this a number of times when these two teams have met. Almost every fan from the Charlotte, North Carolina, South Carolina, etc., before Carolina was an expansion team in 1995, they were all Washington football team fans. Mm-hmm. So like there's no home field advantage in this game. There has never been home field advantage when these two teams face each other. So that take that for what it's worth. Is Carolina 3.5 points better on a neutral than Washington?
No.
So like
that's definitely the case. Yeah, I think the worry, I mean, obviously there's a couple things here. No Chase Young, which stinks. And you've got, this is the interesting thing. You've got a Washington team whose number one playmaker is very good in Terry McLaurin, but now you have Carolina with Stephon Gilmore. And I do think that makes this challenging. It's a good value. I'll give you that. Here's the last one that I'd like to talk about. And I hate this, but the Miami Dolphins are just a 3-point favorite against the New York Jets.
No. I get what you're saying. What about
the Jets are awful, man.
Yeah, but can I offer you another bet?
What?
Under 45?
I do think under 45 there is a nice play.
Because like Joe Flacco isn't going to do shit other than
sprinkle,
dump the ball to the freaking backs. Like Michael Carter's going to catch 17 balls in this game. The Dolphins offense is bad.
Yeah, this is going to be an ugly game.
Like the best play that a Dolphins offensive player has made this year was an illegal screen pass to a
Why
lineman.
isn't this total lower? It's going to be cold, and I think, Rainey, let me check my
45 is a low total in the
PFF
NFL.
app here. Yeah. I guess it's going to be actually mildly 54, 8-mile-per-hour winds, overcast clouds. I take that back. But yeah, I'll take the Miami Dolphins there. Okay, what do you want to do for lock of the week?
Let's do Green Bay. I like Green Bay minus
really
2.5. Yeah.
You're not worried about that?
Every once in a while I feel like I'm just being a hater, but like
I do like your over.
I am just being a hater, but like,
I do very much like your over. But if you feel good about Green Bay,
the problem is you are buying so are you buying Green Bay at the top of the market? I don't think so. I think everybody's looking at Green Bay and thinking this team's kind of a lucky bunch of goobs, right?
Yes. I think their defense is being rated really highly.
Yeah, Mike Renner wrote the article for our website basically saying they finally have a good defense, blah, blah, blah. But, which, not to ding on Mike, but like, obviously those things change, right, over time. But you are selling the Vikings at the top of the market, right? Like the market wants nothing more than the Minnesota Vikings to be good, right? Yeah. Every single you are paying a premium to bet the Vikings every week, and you get dinged on it all the time, right?
Yeah.
And the market wants nothing more than Minnesota to play well because they do. Like the Vikings, I've given them a lot of crap over the years, but they have good players. They have coaches who coach well when they coach well. Like Zimmer has had some masterpiece games over the past 3-4 years. But they don't pull it all together, right? And I just don't think that Matt LaFleur against Mike Zimmer is the biggest coaching mismatch of the weekend.
Let me give you. Let's go with this for the lock of the week. I'll give you a
we
mismatch.
Can do two.
No, I'll give you a mismatch that I like in this one. And I'm going to shout out Mike Renner. Actually, he's the first person that has talked about this mismatch, or at least the first person I heard. He talks about every time these two play each other. Kenny Clark versus the interior offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings is a huge mismatch. And I always look at this part of PFF.com. If you go to the scores, if you go look at the schedule and click into a game, you can see the lineups. And Kenny Clark, 11th highest graded defensive interior lineman. And there is not a guy on the Minnesota interior line that ranks higher than 30th at their position, and that's the center, Garrett Bradbury, who's 30th of 39. The rest are 52nd and 44th.
Bradbury's injured. Mason Cole has been starting for him, but I mean that's the whole point. Like if Mason Cole is starting at center for you, you stink.
You're in a little bit of trouble. So I like that. Let's go with it. The lock of the week is Green Bay -2.5. RELAX. Let's get it. That is the PFF forecast. We'll be back with you on Sunday night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.